5. Lie still, child. She closed her eyes again. She was on the grass outside, pillowed on Keith's arm, and Reagan was dabbing her head with a cold towel. "I'm all right," she said, quietly. "I know, but just lie still a minute longer. It was too hot in there. Jarvis felt it too." She laughed as Reagan again touched her gingerly with the towel. "I'm all right," she repeated. But though a warm peace was falling, in her mind and heart she felt oddly broken and chastened, as if someone had held her striped soul up and laughed. Stripped soul up and laughed. 6. Half an hour later, she walked, leaning on Keith's arm, down the long central path towards the gate. "It's been such a short afternoon," he sighed, "and I'm so sorry you were sick, Lois." "Keith, I'm feeling fine now, really. I wish you wouldn't worry." "Poor old child. I didn't realize that benediction would be a long service for you after your hot trip out here and all." She laughed cheerfully. "I guess the truth is, I'm not much used to benediction. Mass is the limit of my religious exertions." She paused and then continued quickly. "I don't want to shock you, Keith, but I can't tell you how inconvenient being a Catholic is. It really doesn't seem to apply anymore. As far as morals go, some of the wildest boys I know are Catholics, and the brightest boys, I mean the ones who really think and read a lot, don't seem to believe in much of anything anymore." "Tell me about it. The bus won't be here for another half an hour." They sat down on the bench by the path. "For instance, Gerald Carter, he's published a novel. He absolutely roars when people mention immorality. And then there's Howe, well, another man I've known well lately, who was Pi Beta Kappa at Harvard, says that no intelligent person can believe in supernatural Christianity. He says Christ was a great socialist, though. Am I shocking you?" She broke off suddenly. Keith smiled. "You can't shock a monk. He's a professional shock absorber." "Well," she continued, "that's about all. It seems so narrow. Church schools, for instance. There's more freedom about things that Catholic people can't see, like birth control." Keith winced, almost imperceptibly, but Lois saw it. "Oh," she said quickly, "everyone talks about everything now." "It's probably better that way." "Oh yes, much better. Well, that's all, Keith. I just wanted to tell you why I'm a little lukewarm at present." "I'm not shocked, Lois. I understand better than you think. We all go through those times. But I know it'll come out all right, child. There's that gift of faith that we have, you and I, that'll carry us past the bad spots." He rose as he spoke, and they started down again the path. I want you to pray for me sometimes, Lois. I think your prayers would be about what I need, because we've come very close in these few hours, I think." Her eyes were suddenly shining. "Oh, we have," she cried. "I feel closer to you now than to anyone in the world." He stopped suddenly and indicated the side of the path. "We might, just a minute." It was a Pieta, a life-size statue of the Blessed Virgin, set within a semicircle of rocks. Feeling a little self-conscious, she dropped on her knees beside him and made an unsuccessful attempt at prayer. She was only half through when he rose. He took her arm again. "I wanted to thank her for letting us have this day together," he said simply. Lois felt a sudden lump in her throat, and she wanted to say something that would tell him how much it had meant to her, too, but she found no words. "I'll always remember this," he continued, his voice trembling a little. "This summer day with you. It's been just what I expected. You're just what I expected, Lois." "I'm awfully glad, Keith. You see, when you were little, they kept sending me snapshots of you, first as a baby, then as a child in socks playing on the beach with a pail and shovel, and then suddenly as a wistful little girl with wondering pure eyes, and I used to build dreams about you. A man has to have something living to cling to. I think, Lois, it was your little white soul I tried to keep near me, even when life was at its loudest, and every intellectual idea of God seemed the sheerest mockery, and desire and love and a million things came up to me and said, "Look here at me! See, I'm your life! You're turning your back on it!" All the way through that shadow, Lois, I could always see your baby soul flitting on ahead of me, very frail and clear and wonderful. Lois was crying softly. They had reached the gate, and she had rested her elbow on it and dabbed furiously at her eyes. Then, later, child, when you were sick, I knelt all one night and asked God to spare you for me, for I knew then that I wanted more. He had taught me to want more. I wanted to know you moved and breathed in the same world with me. I saw you growing up, that white innocence of yours changing to a flame and burning to give light to other weaker souls. And then I wanted some day to take your child on my knee and hear them call me the crabbed old monk, Uncle Keith. He seemed to be laughing now as he talked. Oh, Lois, I was asking God for more than that. I wanted the letters you'd write me, and the place I'd have at your table. I wanted an awful lot, Lois dear. You got me, Keith, she said. She sobbed. You know it. Say you know it. Oh, I'm acting like a baby, but I didn't think you'd be this way, and Oh, Keith, Keith. He took her hand and patted it softly. Here's the bus. You'll come again, won't you? She put her hands on his cheeks, and drawing his head down, pressed her tear-wet face against his. Oh, Keith, brother, someday I'll tell you something. He helped her in, saw her take down her handkerchief, and smile bravely at him as the driver kicked his whip and the bus rolled off. Then a thick cloud of dust rose around it, and she was gone. For a few minutes he stood there on the road, his hand on the gatepost, his lips half parted in a smile. Lois, he said aloud in a sort of wonder. Lois, Lois. Later, some probationers passing, noticed him kneeling before the Pieta, and coming back after a time, found him still there, and he was there until twilight came down, and the courteous trees grew garrulous overhead, and the crickets took up their burden of song in the dusky grass.